Okay, welcome to the 6 o'clock meeting. Call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Coming to the meeting tonight, will the clerk please call attendance? Just so we know, Patty is not going to be attending our meeting this evening. She had a prior engagement.
Mayor, all council members are present except for Patty Bacon. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Item 3 is the approval of the consent agenda. Are there any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Excuse me?
Just move to approve.
Seeing no comment, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Avery,
Aye.
Brink.
Aye.
Okay, so open forum, presentations and reports. Introduction of new city Brookings employee. Paul, our city manager, will introduce our new deputy fire chief.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Dan is our new deputy fire chief. He just started here just 2 weeks ago. Actually, a Brookings native, and excited to have him come back home to Brookings to help serve our community. Dan, if you'd share a little bit about yourself, work experience, and
Sure.
your plans here.
All right. Yeah, so like Paul said, I got my start in the fire service here in Brookings as a volunteer firefighter for about 3 years, from 96 to 99. At that point, I moved down to the Sioux City area and was on with North Sioux City Volunteer Fire Department up until now. Spent about 18 years there as assistant fire chief. Of the 21 I've been on with them. And along with that, I was a career firefighter at the 185th Area Refueling Wing in Sioux City, Iowa, for about 11 and a half years as well, up until I took this position. With those two opportunities, I was awarded a lot of opportunity to get lots of world-class training. Spent several weeks down at the Alabama Fire College, getting my fire Inspector 3 certification, Fire Officer 3, Public Fire Life Safety Educator 2, 1 and 2 classes, and those are all national certifications, just to name a few of them. And got the opportunity to come back home, so I thought it was be a pretty good opportunity to get back here, so went ahead and jumped on it, so.
We're glad to have you on board, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to take this time to welcome the Boy Scout Troop number 1, Scoutmaster Jason Proutz with them. They are observing us tonight as part of a badge requirement. Welcome this evening, gentlemen. All right, Mark Sternhagen, would you please come up, please? Proclamation, whereas Mark Sternhagen will be recognized as South Dakota's outstanding individual with a disability at the 2021 Governor's Award Ceremony on October 5, 2021. Whereas Mark taught 32 years at South Dakota State University, wrote 2 books sharing his personal experience as a polio epidemic and as a local business owner. And whereas Mark has been a valued friend and generous mentor to many. Whereas vaccinated day.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you for this award, and it's quite humbling to be here for this. And thank you for the recognition. And a couple things I need to say. As it said, I had polio, and the polio vaccine, the Salk vaccine, was out, but it was in short supply. Had I been vaccinated, I didn't receive the vaccine. Had I been vaccinated for polio, I would not be here tonight. I would not be getting this award. I would in all likelihood not be disabled. So I think that that's important to note at this particular point in time. I know how important vaccination is. And thank you for this, and I appreciate it. I just wish that it was more like the Nobel Prize and came with like $1 million. Thank you. Thank you.
I'd love to take a picture of you. All right. You certainly can. I'm okay with that. That way everybody can record who's here. Oh. Okay, for the pleasantries here now. Mayoral Proclamation. Whereas the Brookings Lions Club is celebrating 70 years of service and is part of the 1.4 million members of Lions Club International. Whereas in the past decade, the Brookings Lions Club fundraising efforts have led to over $125,000 in support to the Brookings area. And whereas Brookings Lions Club has provided nearly $25,000 in the last decade for vision and hearing support for needy area residents. And whereas the Brookings Lions Club initiated the Kids Site program in Brookings and purchased $8,000 worth of equipment used every year to screen approximately 1,000 school-aged children for vision issues. And whereas the Brookings Lions Club has provided in the last decade over $40,000 to local charities. Whereas the Brookings Lions Club has contributed toward the development of Lions Park and donated $5,000 towards handicap-accessible playground equipment, as well as over $7,000 for picnic shelters and lighting at the Hillcrest Park. And whereas after COVID-19 prevented fundraising activities in 2020, local members personally donated over $7,800 to support our community. That's pretty cool. Now therefore, be it resolved that I, Opke G. Niemeyer, Mayor of the City of Brookings, do hereby proclaim October 4, 2021, Brookings Lions Club Day. Thank you very much.
Yes, well, thank you for the recognition, Mayor, and I want to also thank the community continue to offer over all our activities over the years. That's what really enables us to serve you. Thank you for the proclamation, and thank you for the support. Thanks to the whole community.
Okay, next thing on the agenda is SDSU Student Association report. Anna, are you present? Yes, you are.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. SDSU Student Association.
Anna, I'm okay with you taking your mask off so we can hear you clearly.
Okay, perfect.
Okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
The Board of Directors interviewed and swore in 3 new senators at large to fill vacancies in our Senate last week. We had a lot of interest in those positions. That was really exciting to see everyone wanting to get engaged in Senate. At that meeting, we also approved the constitution of the Jackrabbit Lifting Club. Additionally, there was a really fruitful conversation in our Senate about the Board of Regents' Opportunity for All statement. Along those lines, many senators attended the Senate Bill 55 task force, which was last Thursday night in the Alumni Center. Once again, really good to see that engagement from our Senate. At last night's meeting, 2 resolutions were introduced, so stay tuned on those for the next meeting. The Student Promotion Fund had its first meeting last Thursday, where we decided on the funding of 3 events. The National Hispanic Heritage Month comedian Renee Santos event was funded at 50% of the requested amount, which is $375. Hobo Week was funded at 100% of the requested amount, which was $18,000. And Hobo Night Live was funded at $1,312.50, which was 87.5% of their requested amount. Finally, moving into university updates, October 8th will be the ribbon cutting and 1-year anniversary celebration of the American Indian Student Center on campus, so there's going to be events going on all day with that. President Dunn will deliver his State of the University address tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 in the Alumni Center. We are excited for the home football game against Dixie State this Saturday night. However, it is also senior day, so over 600 potential Jackrabbits and their families will be joining us on campus and in Brookings to partake in that. And then the COVID task force is actually meeting more regularly than it initially was this semester to maintain continuity and more closely look at problems the second they arise, specifically staffing, I believe, and kind of recognize and intervene early. So that concludes my report. Thanks for your time. I'll stand by for any questions.
Any questions for Anna? Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Now we have open forum. Is there any member of the public who wishes to address the council on an item that's not listed on today's agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. Item 6A, Resolution 21-079, approving an audit services agreement between the City of Brookings, South Dakota and Eide Bailey LLP. Ashley Wrench will present this, the Deputy Finance Manager.
Resolution 21-079 would approve an agreement to provide annual independent financial auditing services for the years ending December 31st, 2021, 2022, and 2023. Staff recently conducted an RFP process for auditing services, and our selection committee consisted of Eric and myself, along with Laura Julius, the Finance and IT Manager for BMU, and Melissa Wagner, the CFO for Brookings Health System. We received proposals from 5 firms and selected 3 for presentations and interviews, including Eide Bailey as well as BKD, our current audit firm. After evaluating the proposals and engaging in interviews, our selection committee unanimously chose to recommend Eide Bailey. Some key advantages that we identified with moving forward with this audit relationship include efficiency. Brookings Municipal Utilities and Brookings Health System are currently audited by Eide Bailey, so having all 3 entities under one firm will save some time and duplication of work when the reports are combined for our annual comprehensive financial report. Due to these efficiencies, we'll also realize some cost savings across the board for all 3 entities, plus cost savings associated with choosing Eide Bailey through the RFP process. Eide Bailey also demonstrated that they're focused on continuous improvement of their audit approach by implementing innovative techniques, which is in line with the city's mission. They also will help us meet the reporting requirements for the new GASB 87 leases standard, and they have a plan in place for consistent communication to help the transition move as smoothly as possible. One item that we were particularly impressed with was their executive summary report, which they will present to council at the conclusion of each audit. This slide shows some examples of what you could expect in that report, including financial information over 10 years and explanations that'll help you get a better idea of the city's financial position. Finally, the cost savings will be about $7,200 over the next 3 years based on a comparison with proposed costs from our current auditor. And in addition to $10,000 annually split equally between the city, BMU, and Brookings health system due to the efficiencies that we'll experience. Staff recommends approval of this resolution as presented, and we do have Brian Stavinger and Chad Hess here from Eid Bailey if you have any questions for them. Otherwise, I'll stand by for questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, close public comments. Does the council have any questions or comments? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Niemeyer. Tiltonburn.
Aye.
Wendell.
Aye.
Avery.
Aye.
Frank.
Aye.
Collins.
Aye.
Motion passes. Ordinances, first readings. Item 7A. Introduction and first reading on ordinance 21-032, an ordinance to change the zoning within the city of Brookings, rezoning a portion of Arbor Hill Addition from a residence R3 apartment district to a business B2 district. Mike Struck, our development director, will review this item.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Ordinance 21-032 is a rezoning in the Arbor Hill Addition. You can see it on the map up above that. Recently went through an update and is identified as an urban medium intensity, which would support the rezoning request to a B2 zoning. The area highlighted in red is the actual area that they're proposing for the rezone. It'll kind of be separated by Lucerne Avenue on the west. And this does come to you with a 5-0 recommendation from the Planning Commission, and the Development Review Team and staff support the rezoning request, and I'd stand for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mike. Is there any public comments on this item? Seeing none, is there any council questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Mike, and we'll have a second public hearing on this on October 12th on second reading. Item 7B, introduction and first reading on ordinance 21-033, an ordinance to change the zoning within the city of Brookings, rezoning a portion of Reserve Edition from a residence R3 apartment district to a business B3 heavy district. Mike Struck, our community development director, will review this also.
Thank you. Previous request, this is in the Reserve Edition along you see on the map before you is the future land use from the comprehensive plan. This is an urban medium intensity use, so it would support a rezoning to a B3 commercial district. The area highlighted in red is the area that is proposed to rezone from R3 to B3. Immediately to the south is B2 zoning. To the north, it is residential zoned. However, it's a little misleading, is immediately north of the property is a delineated wetland, so that it's approximately 80 or so feet wide. And then north of there is actually a city detention pond, and then the little R3 lot that's shown adjacent to the street is actually a lift station lot. So there isn't residential developed property immediately adjacent to it. To the west is another city detention pond, and then to the east across Christine Avenue there is R3 zone property, and then to the southeast is B2 and B2A. This does come to you as a 5-0 recommendation from the Planning Commission. The Development Review Team and staff both support the rezoning request, and I would stand for any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, does the council have any questions or comments at this time? Councilmember Brink.
Just one. It's to the west there. None of that would be able to be developed in the future. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is the Nelson Pond. It's zoned ag, and it's kind of a retention pond. It's got a gradual slope from north to south, and yeah, that would all be reserved for city use for drainage purposes.
Thanks.
Okay. Second reading will be on October 12th. Item 7C, introduction and first reading on ordinance 21-034, an ordinance to permit by conditional use a woodworking shop in residence R2-2 on the west 65 feet of lot 6 and the west 65 feet of north 40 feet, or lot 5, all in block 4 of the original plat addition, also known as 202 4th Street. Mike Strucker, Community Development Director, has this one also.
Thank you. A major home occupation according to our zoning ordinance, and major home occupations in residential districts are approved through a conditional use permit request. The applicant woodworking shop in a detached garage. The size of the detached garage is approximately 200 square feet. It's in close proximity to our public safety center. This does come to you with a 6-0 recommendation from the Planning Commission, and the Development Review Team and staff both support this. There are 2 recommendations that come with this, that this is for the applicant only, and that it would not be transferable if the property were to sell, and also that the hours are limited to 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. because it is in a residential neighborhood. But with that, we really didn't have any concerns, and I'd stand for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mike. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, does the council have any questions or comments? Councilmember Wendell.
Thank you, Mayor. Included in what we'd approved tonight, you don't need the council to take action.
You don't need to. We included it in the ordinance.
Thank you.
Any other members of the council have a question?
Just a clarification on this. People do that type of work as hobbyists. Is there anything that crosses that line and turns it into a permit situation that might be instructive for the public?
Usually when they are intending to do the work for sale, and so the applicant came forward and told us what his intentions were. He's not looking to offer products for sale on site, but his intentions is to run it as a business and go to like craft shows and sell all of his products off site. And so it does meet the threshold for major home occupation.
Thank you.
Okay. Second hearing on this would be on October 12th. Okay, so then we're done with, we have no second readings this evening. Other business, 9A, action on a revised preliminary plat for lots 1 to 10, Block 5, Arbor Hill Addition. Mike Struck, our Community Development Director, will review this item also.
Council and the audience, this is a revised preliminary plat for Block 5 in the Arbor Hill Addition. You can see kind of yellow just south of 20th Street South, and it's north of 22nd Street South, and it'll be west of the future Lucerne Avenue. You can kind of see the rough grading of Lucerne in the lighter brown on the overhead screen there. It's a revised preliminary plat. The original preliminary plat was approved in 2017. You can see in the red circle there, on the left side of the Lucerne, there is approximately 7 lots in that area. The developer is proposing 10 lots in that area now, and that's the additional change of 3 more lots. They're going to be a little bit smaller than what was previously proposed, but the original Lot sizes ranged anywhere from 13 to 15,000 square feet. They're looking to get a little bit smaller and try and provide a couple more housing units in that development. It is supported by our comprehensive plan. It's an a medium density residential in that area. And it does come to you with a 5-0 recommendation from the Planning Commission, and the Development Review Team and staff support the request. I'd stand for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mike. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, does the council have any questions or comments? Councilmember Wendell.
Thank you, Mayor. Mike, if I remember right, we discussed some of the adjacent blocks and we heard from some neighbors about concerns, but this block 5 was the one that the developer was at the time willing to push pause on and reconsider, and this is the reconsideration, correct?
That is correct. I think at previous meeting you approved the blocks 3, 6, and 7 that would be to the south and east of here. There was some concerns from the adjacent neighborhoods to the west of block 3. He paused, he went back, he revised it. He did increase the density by 3 lots, but he decreased it from what he originally was looking to change. So it was kind of a compromise.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Comments?
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Avery,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer.
Aye. 9B, action on resolution 21-075, adopting fees for medical cannabis establishment licenses in the city of Brookings, South Dakota. Paul, the city manager, will start this item out.
Thanks, Mayor, City Council members. The license is the final step in solidifying the Brookings process that we've been speaking about for the past few months. It's assumed that each application will take a minimum of 10 to 15 hours of staff time to complete, depending on each application. Fee for the city to charge. The staff is recommending a $5,000 fee for new applications, $5,000 for a license, $5,000 for renewal. Many peer cities within South Dakota are charging between $2,500 and $5,000 for the permit and license, as well as the renewal. There are exceptions. Sioux Falls is charging $50,000 and $25,000 for the license and renewal of just dispensaries only. Watertown charges $25,000 for the application renewal fee for dispensaries only as well. With that, be more than happy to answer any questions council might have.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. So moved.
Been moved and seconded. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, is there any council members that have questions or comments? Council?
We had a conversation earlier tonight about, what an appropriate level for this licensing fee might be. And I know one of the things that I was trying to recall, and you just shared kind of some of what the hourly staff time would look like. Is the $5,000 number that staff is recommending, was that with the mindset that would be our break even number, and any number that we would set higher than that would be related to the revenue generation desire that we discussed earlier? Is that 5,000 number really just to recoup the costs of?
Correct. The 10 to 15 hours that we're estimating, that's on the minimum side. So if it takes more staff time, that 5,000 would more than cover the staff time.
Vern.
My understanding is that this fee would be for the medical establishments only, correct? So if and when the recreational option comes before us, would we potentially be looking at a different permitting process with an additional fee or a different fee than what we are doing now? And right now, we're just looking at medical dispensaries.
Yeah, my assumption is if and when recreational marijuana occurs, that's going to be a whole nother discussion for council, everything from zoning to the licensing process. I will clarify, right now as it's written, and Steve would have to correct me if I'm wrong, as it's written, this is for dispensaries growth operations, manufacturing, and testing, correct, Steve? So if council desires to increase the fee, if it's a fee for all of them, or if it's just for dispensaries, that should probably be an alternative discussion council should consider as well, or be knowledgeable of.
First, for you, Steve, now that Paul has named off all those different entities, which each one of those particular businesses, if they were all under one company, would they pay for like separate setups? I mean, if they've got a store, if they've got a testing, if they've got a lab, would they all be separate fees then?
Yep, these fees would be just on a per establishment basis.
Okay.
So if they have two types of entities, a cultivation and a dispensary, then they would pay a $5,000 licensing fee, application fee, I should say, for each one.
So then the next question I have is, so if we have someone that's cultivating and they meet all the requirements and everything, that is only going to be for medical cannabis only, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Councilmember Tilton Burn.
Kind of piggybacking on that question, if one dispensaries, two separate locations, would those each independently be permitted separate as well with two different fees?
That would be correct.
Okay.
Because I think the state, all of the state's procedures would be looking at each separate location.
Councilmember Cow.
Mayor, thinking about going and making an amendment here, but since this is for medical marijuana, I think I'll wait to say anything about that until after we deal with legal marijuana.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Oh,
Sorry, I fingers crossed. If we do permit, say, a growing business or a testing business, again, these are just for medical. That if and when recreational comes about, they would then those growing operations, testing operations, processing operations, those also would have to re-permit.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we've had discussion earlier about this, and when you look at just what a liquor license costs in Brookings, it's substantially more, and it doesn't seem like the $5,000 is adequate to cover all the costs and the potential issues, especially when you're talking about maybe a growing facility that could potentially generate a lot of revenue. I would like to see that be a higher fee, and I would propose an amendment that we raise that to the established license fee, and we could leave the other portions of the renewals and everything as is, but have that initial fee be $20,000.
would that be an amendment? Second. Let's just go with the amendment fails. I guess one of my comments on this is since it is medical marijuana, we don't know who we're going to get, and to even maybe market this in this town, I would say the recreational would go down as the same idea as the liquor operating agreements. It's a recreational thing also. So I'm kind of in agreement with the fees on here. Are there any other comments? Questions? All right. Please call the roll.
Wendell,
Aye.
Avery,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tilton Burn.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 9C. Action on Resolution 21-080, adopting amendments to the consolidated fee schedule. Ashley Wrench, our Deputy Finance Manager, will review this item for us.
21-80 would authorize an update to the consolidated First part of this resolution adds those medical cannabis licensing and renewal fees that were discussed in Resolution 21-75. The second part implements the fees for the city's new flag and banner program. This program ensures that individuals and organizations are informing the city of flags and banners that will be placed on streetlight poles through an application process, which would be $20. If city staff are required to remove these items when the term expires or if they become damaged, it would be $100 per hour for banners and $40 per hour for flags, as it requires a little more effort to remove the banners than it does for the flags. And then finally, the fee per hour for police department support of moving structures would increase from $50 to $60 per unit with a 2-hour minimum. This change will be more in line with recouping the total cost for providing these services. And staff recommends approval of this resolution as presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, close public comment. Does council have any questions or comments? Councilmember Tilton Burn.
I just want removal of banners and flags. That fee would be an optional fee, correct? The organizations posting the banners and flags would still have the option of posting and removing them themselves?
That's correct, and that would be preferred, actually. We would recommend that beyond staff doing it, and we just wanted to make sure have that option if they couldn't find people to remove the banners. We would actually prefer others to do it.
Sure, and I see that the language says removal of banners is the city would only be taking action to remove them, not to post them.
Jake, could you clarify that?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Banner and flag removal, the language states that the city would not provide the option of charging that fee to post the banners. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Wendell.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 90, action on Resolution 21-076, creating boundaries of tax increment District 11. Mike Struck, our Community Development Director, will review this item for us.
I think I'm going to touch the next two items, kind of roll them into one discussion as they're very interrelated. The first action item for you will actually be creation of the district boundaries for tax increment District number 7. Screen right there. It's all the areas within the yellow bounded area. So as I mentioned, it's kind of a two-step process, but I think to fully understand, we need to get into the second item too. And so with tax increment financing, it's a means of using the improvements that occur within that boundary area, and the property tax increment then is paid to the city, and then we can use that to fund projects within that particular district boundary area, as well as working with developers to assist them with putting in public infrastructure. And so with tax increment number 7, we're proposing a public-private partnership with the Prairie Hills Development in the southwest portion of the community, and that they would like to use TIF proceeds to help with the completion of Tallgrass Parkway and Sweetgrass Drive with the water, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and street improvements within that area. And that would be kind of the private side of the TIF. On the public side, the city has identified some potential projects in that area where we could extend the shared use path along 20th Street South from Main Avenue over to Madera Avenue, and depending on funds, even further east. And so that would help extend that connectivity, essentially from the Valley View addition all the way to the existing bike trail on Madera Avenue. In addition, we've identified some drainage improvements at that intersection of Madera Avenue and 20th Street South, and that the area that's encompassed kind of around the soccer complex, we could do some grading improvements in that area to create some additional stormwater capacity, as well as there's some pretty significant improvements that might be needed in that intersection with box culverts and things of that nature. And then obviously the road repair upon completion of that project would be done in conjunction with that. So the first step action item before you is actually creating the district boundaries by resolution 21-076. If you agree with that and approve it, we would move on to the second part that gets into the project plan. And we've done some projections based upon build out schedules of what it could potentially generate in revenue. And we do our revenue projections are a little bit conservative, and it's kind of based upon the development build-out schedule. But we would be looking at a partnership where we would share the proceeds with the private developer. Those details would be worked out in a development agreement that would come back for council approval in the future. But we wrote the project plan for $4.5 million, and that is the maximum dollar amount that we could spend and be eligible for TIF reimbursement. I think with that, I'll probably stop now and be available for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mike. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Can I ask a clarifying question, Mayor? Are we just approving the first item?
Yep.
Yeah.
In this? Okay. So moved.
Okay, moved and seconded. Is there any public comment on this item? Please state your name.
Jacob Mills, representing Prairie Hills. Just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity and thank Mike and city staff for all the work that they've done in helping. This has been a long process we've been working on with Mike since going back to about March. We're excited for the opportunity. There's been a lot of exciting things that are potentially happening in Prairie Hills, and I just wanted to mostly be available for any questions that you guys may have, but just wanted to highlight, the challenge that a large development like Prairie Hills presents, being originally over almost 200 acres, is that we are a large area, and we do have a large amount of essentially collector streets that run through our development. And that's sort of what generated this initial discussion, is the completion of Sweetgrass Drive, which would go up to our central roundabout and over to Main Avenue, and Tallgrass Parkway, which would connect all the way north to 20th Street South. There's associated sewer infrastructure with that has to flow to the south, and that's the only way to service this northern commercial corner. There's only a very small portion of that existing commercial area that can be serviced onto 20th. The rest of it has to flow south, and so it's with these long distances, almost 3/4 of a mile of collector streets is this project. That's sort of what generated all this discussion. But I'm here if there's any questions. If you want to get into the long-term history of Prairie Hills, my father, John, is also here as well. I appreciate the opportunity, and stand by if you have any questions for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. Is there any? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Brink,
Aye.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Avery.
Aye.
Okay, on to item 9E, action and resolution on 21-077, adopting tax instrument District 11 project plan. Mike Struck, our Community Development Director, will review this item.
Thank you, Mayor. A bit of it previously, but I should probably expand upon a few other things. So there's a kind of certification process that we go through with the South Dakota Department of Revenue before we even start this process with our Planning Commission, and then moving. And that we get in this particular TIF district, we did get the economic development classification status, and so that's important for people and the public to understand. Is when you get an economic development classification, the property tax increment is given all to the city, But the other taxing district that's probably most concerned with TIF districts is the school district. They are made whole with the economic development classification, in that to make the school district whole, the property taxes throughout the state are increased slightly to make sure that your local school district is made whole. And so we did get an economic development classification on this one. In addition, there's a state law that requires that the proposed tax increment district plus all other taxable property in existing TIF districts cannot exceed 10% of your total taxable property in the city. And currently, with this proposed project, we'd be at 1.5% of our taxable property that would be in a TIF district. So we're certainly well underneath that requirement. As I mentioned previously, the project plan is really laying out the details of what the improvements are proposed to be, how to be financed. So on the city's portion, we will front the costs with cash and be reimbursed over time with property tax increment. On the private side, they are also responsible for fronting the project costs and would only be reimbursed a portion of the property tax increment that is generated from their project. So it's really dependent upon them to move forward with development in order to see any benefit from the TIF. And with that, I would stand for any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, close public hearing. Does the council have any questions or comments? Councilmember Wendell.
I really appreciate the private and city partnership here. I think as we've seen developments in particular to the south emerge, I think if we've got concerns around them, it's been drainage, which is obviously costly to address, and the connectivity within the neighborhoods and among the neighborhoods. And this really checks both of those boxes in a pretty creative way. So I'm excited to see this district move forward. This is a great plan.
Thank you.
Councilmember Avery.
Mike, I just wanted to clarify that, because essentially all the increment will be generated by the developers.
Correct.
So how do we split the money then?
That will be determined through a development agreement. So that's where the details come with a TIF project plan. It lays out the general requirements, but the details will be worked out through a development agreement that we will bring back to you. We're cautiously optimistic it'll be back before you before the end of the year.
Okay, so you can't really say that the city's portion generates any increment. It's just
No, the city's property is all tax exempt. So yeah, all of the increment will be generated from development that occurs within the Prairie Hills addition.
Any other comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Avery,
Aye.
Frank.
Aye.
Okay, progress report from Jake Meschke, our Assistant City Manager. Everybody always looks forward to this.
To the council, this is the September 2021 progress report. Starting off with a bit of good news, we had come to council a while back. Development block grant to build a food insecurity facility. We got news here very recently that we were successful. We've received over $1.6 million from the state through the CDBG funds that were made available. Again, it was a great opportunity to bring together the United Way, the food pantry, the Brookings Backpack Project, Senior Commodity, the First Lutheran Church, who has agreed to provide the land, as well as the First District Association of Local Governments. So lots of partners involved. It was a great process, lots of work behind the scenes, and with roughly a year's worth of work, we were able to see some fruits of the labor. We did celebrate for about 5 minutes, and then we talked about next steps because now we have a facility to build. So some of the things we'll be looking at doing is getting a grant management agreement in place with First District, looking at land replatting of First Lutheran, as well as a lease agreement with First Lutheran. And then the plan is to go to construction bidding over this winter so we can construct next year in 2022. 20th Street interchange, relatively stable at this point. We are finalizing those negotiations with the few remaining landowners for right-of-way and easements. The design plans are substantially complete. The good news here is that we still are on task or on time to go to bid in December 2021. That is not meant to be to 2021, so it is just December 2021. Plan is for construction in 22 to 23. Jefferson Avenue project is moving along quite nicely. As you can see, there's a good chunk of that project that's been completed. We have started paving at this point. And Boulevard landscape restoration is also underway. That project will complete this upcoming month in October of 2021. 8th Street South, Madera Ave. Again, this is an exciting time of year for us because we are seeing these projects really come to fruition. So again, the work there is actually all complete. The only item is they're going over any punch list items, kind of budding up that project. That will complete finally in 2021 or October 2021 as well. This is a project that's actually been a couple of years in the making here at the City County Government Center by our new south parking lot, and this is a rain garden, also known as a bioretention facility. The purpose of this is really to collect water that runs off of the parking lot. It can sit there for 24 to 48 hours where it'll pond. There is an under drain system that moves to that basin, as you can see towards the bottom of the screen. By only allowing it to pond for 24 to 48 hours, it does prevent mosquitoes from hatching, but it does still take advantage of the inflow and infiltration, which improves the water quality that's going into our storm sewer system. Some of the features of this, there's actually approximately 500 stormwater friendly plants that are located within that facility. There is that under drain system that was previously mentioned. There is hard to tell, but there is a little bit of an elevated stone wall towards the south there, and that does stop the water from just tumbling right into the system. So it does allow that slow drain out as we get larger rain events. We are working with SDSU to create some educational signage that will really explain the purpose of this facility and the benefits that it provides. And SDSU will continue to monitor this for a number of years, where we'll be able to look at the volume that it's treating as well as the quality of that stormwater, so hopefully seeing improvements that it's removing the sedimentation out of that. It will take 2 to 3 years to bloom. If you look at it now, it looks like a lot of wood chips, but eventually it will all be flowers and plants, so you'll actually not see any wood chips in about 2 to 3 years down the road. So very exciting project again to bring on board. 15th Street South and 7th Avenue continues as well. If council or members of the public have the opportunity, I'd encourage you to drive down there and take a look. It is very neat to see the large construction pieces of equipment moving that dirt and really shaping those where those future roadways will go, as well as the drainage channels. Again, the scope is before you. Right now, the focus of the work is forming that drainage channel, making sure that we have temporary drainage in place, as well as beginning to install water main. Next year is where we'll do some more of the finishing touches, where you'll start to see the roads being paved and the finalization of that project come on board. So that will complete in 2022. I would also note we did have a press release that went out this week. There will be some impacts to the dog park. So this project will result in the closure of 7th Avenue South at the 12th Street South intersection. Typical parking area for the dog park will not be available throughout the construction process. If you wish to utilize the dog park, parking is available on Pheasant Road Run. There is a map that explains this better on our website, so I would encourage folks to check that out if they are planning to utilize the dog park while this area is under construction. This is a very picturesque area of our airport. Recently they did a runway sealing project over there. That is just annual maintenance that we do to make sure that we provide a high quality runway for SDSU Aviation, as well as our pilots that are coming in and out. This upcoming month in October, we will have the striping out there, but right now it is just a very well sealed runway at this point. We held our first household hazardous waste event. This did take the place of our annual paint exchange, so we were able to kind of expand that to not only take latex paint, but take a number of other household items, whether it be cleaners, pesticides, motor oil, things of that nature. We did have a very successful first year event. We had about 250 cars that participated. We generated about $465, as well as 4 65-gallon recycling carts full of food that was donated to the local food pantry from those that came in. Latex paint was still our most donated item, but we did see a lot of those other household hazardous items come through as well. In terms of cost for what we paid Veolia to handle the professional transport and collection of those materials, as well as city staff overtime and things of that nature, we did see a total cost of the city of about $35,000. We estimated originally it would be $50,000, so we did see a little bit of a decreased savings there. In the future, we do plan to explore for grants with the DANR, as well as other sources that would possibly offset our cost by 50%. So we do plan to host this event again in the future. A couple of updates on the solid waste side. Right now, our intention is that the final yard waste collection of the season would be November 23rd. That is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. but we understand that we need to be flexible with that. If weather dictates, we will plan on having additional collections beyond that date. As the weather is unknown, it could be 85 degrees yet in November, so if folks are still doing yard work, we'll be sure to keep collecting it. But as of now, that is when we typically have closed in the past, so we just want to put that date on everyone's radar. After hours access to the Citizens Campus will begin closing on November 30th. Right now, the Citizens Campus is open 24/7 to residents of the community. After November 30th, they will still be able to utilize the facility, but it will be through normal business hours and go through the gate. Hours are up on the for the landfill there. I would note that the landfill is closed on Saturdays in January and February. City staff this week put together a COVID testing guide. This is available on our website. We've heard through the community that some folks were unsure where they were able to get tested for COVID. So we did put some more information available on where those facilities are. We were also able to translate this into Spanish. So if any of our Spanish speaking residents can utilize this as well. Again, a reminder on the Your Shot to Win opportunity being run by the Swiftel Center staff. There are 10 $5,000 prizes as well as 10 $1,000 scholarships available through the SDSU Foundation. Sign up for October 11th to be eligible for those prizes. The cash prize winners will be announced on October 14th, and the scholarship winners are already being announced right now weekly. We've had great response to this event. We've had nearly 3,000 participants sign up so far. For more information, and if you'd like to register yourself in this, you can go to www.swiftelcenter.com/yourshot. A couple of events here from the Swiftel Center. They had about 20 event days in the month of September, so that'd be about 2/3. They did host the Brookings High School Cheer and Dance Competition on September 18th. They did see increased participation of about 100 attendees from when they last held it in 2019. There are also a couple of construction projects that are underway at the Swiftel Center to include some sidewalk paving, as well as a much-needed resurfacing of the access drive, which is located between the barn and the arena. As we bring in cattle shows, concerts, and different things of that nature, that is a very heavily used and trafficked area that was showing its wear and tear from larger vehicles back there. So that'll be a great addition as we continue to welcome events into the community. With that, I would stand for any questions.
Thanks, Jake. Is there any council member questions or comments? Thank you, Jake. All right. City council member introduction of topics for future agenda. Paul, you had something?
Yeah, next city council meeting, we did have a work session, so if council desires that to talk further about outside agencies or any other topics, I'd recommend city council make a motion and second it so we can get that scheduled on the agenda. Otherwise, I don't know if there's a desire to have it.
Okay. Any motion or second for that item?
I would make a motion to schedule a work session.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Collins,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tiltonburn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Avery,
Aye.
Frank.
Aye.
Motion passes. Anybody else have anything else for items that they would like to have on the agenda? Seeing none, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.